Hello, broadcasters. Welcome to episode 123 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. My name's Geige, and I'm here with Dan, of course. Dan, how are you doing?
Doing great. It's exciting that we're already at 123.
Yeah, quite a few episodes. Pretty cool. For anyone new here, Dan and I are the founders of StreamYard, and we do these town halls every single week, and we do them for a few reasons. One is to stay in tune with you guys, go through the same flow you guys do when you do your own shows. Two is to answer any of your questions. So if there's anything you'd like us to touch on tonight, please feel to leave them in the chat section. We'll do our best to get to all of them. And then I always make sure that I mention our three pillars, which are ease of use, stability, and professional streams. So if you're about those three things, StreamYard is the tool for you. Let's see who's hanging out in the chat tonight. Hey, Robert, thanks for joining us. Ariel tuning in from Argentina. Very cool. Hey, Mitchell, nice to see you from Long Island. Let's see what else we have here. I saw a question about the giveaway tool. It was a cool suggestion. Oh, here. Charles is saying, upload a picture of the prize on the giveaway tool as a feature request. It's a cool suggestion, Charles. Thanks for that. That would be one thing you could do is just, as a temporary solution, just upload it in the overlay section of StreamYard to show an image of it on screen. Before I forget, I should mention all the wonderful StreamYard shows we have. So there's StreamYard Spotlight Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is a show featuring all of you and your awesome shows. Dana and Kelsey interview StreamYard users and how they're having success with live video. So be sure to check that out. We also have live stream reviews Saturdays at noon Eastern. Once a month is with Daniel Batal and Dee. And then the other weeks are with Christian and Letitia. So be sure to tune in there if you want to have your channel reviewed. We also have Coffee with the Ducks Fridays at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, which is a show where if you want to get to know the people behind the scenes on StreamYard, we interview employees, which is lots of fun. And then recently we have Live Stream Impact with Julie Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern. So be sure to check out all of those. One question we did have for you guys, it seems like most of you were a pretty big fan of the giveaway tool. So we were curious if there's any other tools similar to it, not related to giveaways, but things that are not directly tied to the StreamYard product itself, like banners or something like that, more tangential type things that would be useful to have as a tool. Curious if you guys had any ideas there as far as things like that you'd like to see.
Yeah, and for anyone who has no idea what Geige is talking about with the giveaway tool, I imagine a lot of you are, because a lot of you are regular listeners. But with the giveaway tool, it's basically if you go to StreamYard.com/giveaway, you can do a live giveaway. Any other tools like that? It's super useful to know.
Anna said, did my first live stream yesterday with StreamYard. Thank you. I knew nothing about live streaming, and you guys made it possible for me to do it. Thanks so much, Anna. That's really cool to hear. I'll have to check out your show. If it's on a different channel than the one you're commenting from, feel free to link it. I'd be curious to check it out. Joe says a photo booth or gallery tool. That's a cool suggestion. That's something we've considered tying directly into the studio because it is pretty tied to something like screen sharing or whatnot, but that's a cool suggestion.
Yeah, so by photo booth, just to confirm, you just mean showing images or something else?
Yeah, let us know, Joe. Nancy says quizzes, surveys, a bit like Slido. That's a good suggestion. Nancy, Slido does work well too. I know quite a few people just screen share it and then have people do the code, but that's a great suggestion.
Cool.
Sounds like NLTMW, similar to Slido. Does Slido have polls? Maybe similar to Slido.
Okay, so I haven't used Slido too much, but there is also polls built into the platforms, like Facebook has polls. I'm curious if anyone's played around with that much. It's kind of tucked away.
But yeah, something specifically for polls, absolutely. Thanks, NLTMW. Anna says, FYI, had our first raffle and gave away a book. Awesome tool. Thanks, guys. Ooh. Awesome, Anna. Thanks for sharing that.
Sweet.
Let's see here. Mark says, like more than 10 brands, please. Thanks for the suggestion, Mark. At some point, that was actually a question I had for tonight, actually. So while you're here, I'll bring it up, which was the number of it's sort of a two-part question. So one is the number of shows you guys have in general. Curious how many of you just have one show that you're dedicated to, how many of you have like a personal show, maybe something you do for work, just how many shows in general. And then somewhat related to that, how many different brands do you use? Is it the type of thing where you have one brand per show, or do you find yourself using multiple brands per show? And the reason why that's somewhat related is I think some people end up using multiple brands for shows to get more assets since there is a limit. So just curious how you guys are using them. Let me just see here. But yeah, to answer your question, Mark, the 10, it's somewhat of an arbitrary limit, and we do get quite a bit of feedback to have more. So we'll likely address that in the future. Let's see here. Dana says, I have 3 shows and 3 brands. Very cool. Christian says, it would be great to be able to curate a playlist of videos, pre-recorded YouTube, other social channels, etc., from within the broadcast studio. Yeah, that's a cool idea, Christian. So yeah, not just necessarily one, essentially like if you're maybe sort of speaking to or talking over other types of content, being able to queue up a bunch of different formats all in one place. That's a cool suggestion.
Cool.
Love Doctor says, I use Slido a lot. It's great. I share the Chrome tab. Very cool.
Sweet. I'm curious which features on Slido, because I noticed quite a few different things. Any that works specifically well for live streaming for you?
Hey, Dustin says, is it possible to get another window option when it's a single presenter / video window? You have any thoughts on that one? Yeah.
It just like, would it just be changing the layout? Like maybe showing part of the background or something like that? Like another layout, basically, for when it's a single person?
If you could give a bit more detail, Dustin, let us know. But if it's another layout, we have considered adding other layouts. But yeah, give us a bit more detail, and then hopefully we can give you a better answer.
Or maybe it's like the screen share layout, like when you're sharing a screen, another layout there.
Randall says, does the giveaway tool work with Amazon Live? It's a good question, Randall. So right now we don't have a direct integration with Amazon Live. You have to use the custom RTMP option. So the giveaway tool only works for platforms that we have that direct integration with, because it does use the comments in order to select a winner. So no, not yet. If we ever do have an integration with Amazon Live directly, then we will certainly support it. Joe says for the audience to be able to submit photos. That's a really cool suggestions. I'd be curious, Joe, if it would be live, like if you'd prefer for the audience to be able to submit them live, or if or maybe it's both. Yeah, so before versus live. I'd be curious if it's leading up to the show or during it.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a creative idea.
Yeah, that's cool. Rosa, probably pronouncing your name wrong. Rosa Lang says, question, how can I put a intro into my StreamYard feed? Can you point me in the right direction? Best way, Rosa Lang, is just in the brand section. There's something called video clips, so you can just upload your intro there. If you need any help with that, we do have live chat support, so feel free to reach out to them, or our support center has docs on all the steps.
Yep, and then whenever you want to play it, you just click the video and off it goes. Sometimes with an intro, it is also nice to put up, like we actually did at the start of this stream, put up an image and like have that image and hold it there for about 10 seconds or so, and then play the video and then remove the image while the video is playing. When you do it a couple of times to practice, it's fairly easy once you get the hang of it.
Alvin says, can SY be a standalone platform to view a live stream without using FB, YouTube, etc.? That's actually sort of related to another question I had for you guys tonight, which I'll get to in a second here. So I mean, right now, no. Right now, unless you're using custom RTMP to go to your own server or something like that, right now, no. I'd be curious, Alvin, what kind of stuff you'd be using it for? Is it the type of thing where you'd use StreamYard to do something like a webinar that you want on a completely private area? Is it something where you'd want to embed it on your own website? I'd be super curious to learn more. It's something that we're possibly open to. And the question I was going to ask, which that reminded me of, was Patreon. I was curious. It doesn't come up very often, so maybe the folks watching the town halls, it's not a common use case. I'm curious how many of you have used Patreon. If you do use it, why and how are you using it? And if you don't, why not? I'm just curious to learn more. For anyone that has no idea what Patreon is, it's essentially a way for people to support your content. Whether it's on YouTube seems to be the most common one, but you can actually have Patreons for all kinds of different things, not just YouTube. But it's basically a way for people to subscribe to your content outside of those channels. Have I described that accurately, Dan? I've not actually used Patreon.
That's pretty good. It's a way to support creators. That's how I think of it.
Yeah,
your audience can help you out monetarily. Also, anything else, like if there's anything other than Patreon you use that's kind of similar to Patreon, very curious about that as well. And if you are using Patreon, how's that going for you? Is there anything you like about it, don't like about it?
And the reason why, in case anyone thinks, like, how is that related? The reason why that made remind me of Patreon is because doing a Patreon-only stream, like, hey, I only want people that are my patrons that are supporting my content. I want to do a private stream to them or something like that. That's one way that maybe something like that, streaming to StreamYard itself could be used. But unlisted YouTube also works well. That is an option as well for Patreon.
Yep.
I think Christian actually just made an article. It's not live yet, but I think Christian just made an article about that. So check out that on the blog.
Specifically about unlisted?
Specifically about using unlisted YouTube for Patreon.
Cool.
Jolin says, I support a few folks on Patreon, both in the tech world as well as music. Very cool.
Nice.
Bonnie says, no Patreon, no reason to give them a portion of the profits. Fair enough. I think the reason why some people opt to is just for the simplicity of having different tiers and them managing the list and whatnot. But if fair enough, setting it up.
You're tech savvy. I get it.
Yeah. Let's see here. Eduardo says Patreon. I use similar here in Brazil. I'd be curious the name of it. I assume Eduardo, you're saying there's like a Brazilian Patreon. I'd be curious the name of it if that's what you're saying. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mark says, can you create an intro bank where I could put more opens for shows and videos, etc.?
So like a folder kind of for intros?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mark. I'm assuming what you mean is almost like outside of the studio itself, sort of just like a content management area. If that's what you're meaning, let us know. And I'd be curious if anyone else has that use case as well, where right now, essentially, anytime you want to change assets or add an overlay, you kind of have to enter you can enter studios at any time. So it's not like you have to go live to do it, but you do have to actually enter a broadcast in order to do that. So curious if that's a pain point for anyone. And if you'd like, I think what Mark is saying, a place where you can sort of manage all of that stuff outside of the studio. I think I might have lost. Are you back, Dan?
Yeah. Is it on mine or yours?
I'm not 100% sure. Let me see in the comments.
It might be mine.
I think it's on your end, but we'll find out in a second here. But yeah, let us know if that would be useful for you guys. And that also reminds me too. I was curious if, in a similar way too, if it would be easier to, the way you have brands, essentially be able to share those brands across. It's essentially what Mark's saying, but a place to manage all of your content without having to go into studios.
And also, I'm guessing you already know this, Mark, but we do have brands, so it's kind of like the concept of folders inside of the brand section. But I'm guessing you're well aware of that.
If you guys can see and hear me all right, do let me know. I think it was just Dan that lost connection for a second, but if look, it sounds like everything's fine. Just looking at the comment.
I had the network indicator up for about 10 or 15 seconds.
Okay, good to know.
So I'm assuming it was just me.
Absolutely. Tristan says, we brought subscriptions in-house as more control. Yeah, that's sort of what I figured here. There's definitely lots of folks here that are more, well, I guess Patreon folks are entrepreneurial too, but people that are actually selling products and whatnot, so it makes sense for you to control that, but I was just curious.
Yeah.
Tangerine says, I'd love to have private streaming options so comments are still enabled without YouTube rules. Cool, that's a new one I haven't heard, so that's interesting to know. Thanks, Tangerine. Dave says, has there been consideration to stream directly from SY to Zoom? It does get asked about quite a bit, Dave. I'd be curious in your particular case, what you'd be doing. Is it just the type of thing where essentially you just want to do a webinar on StreamYard, similar to the other question that came up as far as instead of going to YouTube or Facebook, just going to StreamYard itself? Let us know. But yeah, to answer your question, we have considered it. It's not possible just simply because YouTube or Zoom doesn't have an RTMP ingest option right now.
Also curious if it is, like Geige said, is it for a webinar or is it for a meeting? Is it something else maybe we're not thinking of?
NLTMW says the Patreon channels that I support do unlisted YouTube and make the link available in their Patreon page. Yeah, that's a totally valid option. Was just I'd be curious if people in your experience NLTMW if that's a good solution. Because I know some people if it's like super maybe expensive content that they don't want the link getting shared, that maybe that would be a problem. But it ends up people always worry about it, but it ends up not usually being that much of a problem because if you paid for the content yourself, you're usually not super eager to post it all over the internet. But everyone's community is slightly different, so you never know.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Steven says, I just started using Buy Me a Coffee. It's really nice. I'm not actually familiar with Buy Me a Coffee. I'll have to check that one out.
It's somewhat similar to Patreon. I think a little simpler. That's been my impression of it. But yeah, it's a similar idea, right? It's like I often see it in the developer community, actually. Somebody will write like a really good blog post and then right at the bottom, like, hey, if you want to contribute to this, like future writing, can you pay me $5 or something?
Cool. 383 Design Studio says, any thoughts about creating an analytics report after each stream? We actually had, you guys are covering all my topics for me. So that was one thing we wanted to ask because analytics is something we are exploring. So the question was essentially beyond, so I guess to directly answer yours, yes, and it will likely come in the future. But my question for tonight was beyond the obvious stuff that you would assume analytics to have, like how many people watched each stream, where were they, what platforms were they watching on, at what time during the broadcast did I have the most viewers? Beyond the sort of obvious things there, I was curious if there's any other unique types of analytics that we might not immediately think of that would be useful. Things like a word cloud. Oh, this word is super popular in your stream, gets mentioned all the time. You have more success when you go live at this particular time. Just anything there that is not non-standard that you think would be useful for your own broadcast. Curious to know.
And feel free to get creative in your answers. So there's lots of different things people could come up with.
Nancy says it's hard to make Zoom look good. That's why I would love to use StreamYard for my presentation on Zoom. I'd also love to do the same for my streams in Discord. Cool, that totally makes sense, Nancy. I'd be curious, Nancy, for Zoom, why is Zoom a better solution for you than unlisted YouTube? Is it just the ability to have like a registration page and like if you're assuming you're using Zoom webinar, I don't actually know that. Or is it just to have a bunch of people on screen with you? I'm curious exactly how it would work exactly. Like, is it one to many? Is it interactive? I'm curious why Zoom over an unlisted YouTube or something like that.
Yeah, definitely the same question. Like, is it a webinar? Is it a meeting? Maybe it's both. Maybe do different things.
Mark says, are you seeking newer video destinations for us to distribute to? Certainly, we're always open to adding new destinations, Mark, especially if they're popular and being requested a lot. So if you have any particular ones in mind, do let us know. So I can't speak to anything that's like coming, but we're always chatting to platforms and figuring out whether or not it's something we're going to directly integrate with. But yes, we're always seeking new ones that make sense for our audience. Let's see here. Sue says, any plans to add the ability to save specific banners with specific brands? I use repeat banners / tickers with each client and currently have to scroll through all of them to find the one I need depending on the broadcast. It's a cool question, I guess, Sue. To answer the question, no, they're separate, right? So there's the banners have folders and brands have the different brands to choose between. But that's a good point, linking them together. Any thoughts on that one, Dan?
Cool. Yeah, it's something we're looking into actually in a different way, but the thing that we're looking into could potentially solve this. So yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from, especially if you're a producer or something that has a bunch of different brands. So appreciate it.
Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
I was saying I appreciate the suggestion.
Yeah, and it also reminds me, Sue, that another thing we wanted to touch on tonight that I was curious to ask is, so it sounds like that's one thing you would change about banners, but the question was just generally speaking, let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, here it was. Anything you would like changed with banners. So that sounds like one of them. But for the others watching, curious if there's anything else. Like I think right now, the way we use them, and I think a lot of people use them, is to just sort of map out the key topics you want to hit on your show and sort of guide things and show them on screen. One of the ones that I'm sure Michael Daniels, if he's watching, I'm sure he'll point out, is the ability to pop them out so you can have both things open at once. So that's one thing that commonly comes up with folks. But curious if there's anything else that you'd like changed about them. Early on, one of the most common ones that came up was the ability to reorder them. We've obviously added that, but yeah, anything else that you'd like to see differently as far as how they work and whatnot, do let us know. Joe says more control over line wrap, force a second line.
Cool, that's fair. So if you like click enter, yeah, right now we just kind of collapse all of that.
Cool. SK says StreamYard is awesome. Would like to see more audio adjustments, possibly an equalizer, but other than that, it works great. That's certainly something that has come up, especially with the podcasters SK. So definitely open to it, and always thinking about how we can make things easier for that use case. And so then that is one that comes up all the time. As far as before the show starts, it's hard to know exactly what all the levels are going to be. So definitely something we'd like to address. Grant says, why does the streamer video on my MacBook Air always look so pixelated, even when my guest video looks great? So there's a few things that could be, Grant, and we have a nice doc that outlines like all the troubleshooting steps to figure out what it could be. So number one thing that it often is internet. So if you're on a poor internet connection, that's one reason why. If it's specifically your MacBook Air and no other laptop, if it's an older laptop, it might be that you have other things running in the background or whatnot that's hard on the computer. But if you just if you type into the StreamYard chat, my stream is blurry, there's a great doc that outlines like all the different troubleshooting steps. So check that out.
And the StreamYard chat is just at streamyard.com/contact. Or even if you click like the having issues button in the studio, that'll also pop it open. Support team's also great if the doc isn't enough for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Bonnie says possibly size or width choices for banners so they're not automatically so large. Yeah, that's a good point, Bonnie. The one way we attempted to address it was the different themes, but I know many people would like to use a particular theme in a different size banner, so thanks for that. Sue says she'd also like the ability to change the fonts. It's a good suggestion.
And just the fonts or everything about the banner?
Beyond the I was curious what you were thinking. Beyond the font, you mean like your own theme or something?
Well, just make it look however you want.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like you can change the color in the font right now, but you can't change the shape.
Right.
Just is there anything else? The text color?
Ah, yeah, of course. Let's see here.
As everybody probably knows, we definitely err on the side of ease of use, but then always trying to bake in as many customizations as you can while still keeping it incredibly easy.
Mona says, any plans to allow streaming to IG and Twitter? So we actually do integrate with Twitter. It's slowly converting from Periscope to Twitter Live, but we do support it. Instagram right now is private. It's against their terms of service to stream outside of the Instagram app itself. If that ever changes, we'll certainly support it, but we want to be compliant with Instagram. Looks like we're only have about 5 minutes left, Dan, so should we go ahead and do the giveaway for tonight?
Let's do it.
So for anyone new here, we'll be giving away every week. We do a giveaway, and tonight we'll be giving away a StreamYard pillow and a StreamYard plush duck. You can see the pillow in Dan's background there, and then I'll quickly show a picture of this is what the StreamYard plush duck looks like. And to be eligible to win, simply type in #yard in the chat, and you'll have a chance to win the pillow and the duck.
I love the picture of that duck.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a good shot. And now I'm happy to say too, since it used to be the most common question ever when we did these, as far as like, what's the tool you guys are using? So if you just if you want to use this tool that we're using yourself, you can access it at streamyard.com/giveaway. So you can do this exact same giveaway yourself now.
And we have a banner for that, don't we? Just so people know how to.
Yeah, it's just here it is. streamyard.com/giveaway. And there's a video tutorial on it as well to understand the details of how it works. So we'll give it a few more seconds here just to let everyone get their entries in.
Oh boy, we're one shy of 100.
John says, ordered my duck pillow and coffee mug. Can't wait to get them. Appreciate that, John. So yeah, if you're not so lucky to win tonight, but it is important to you to get a duck or a pillow or a coffee mug, you can always get them at the we have a merchandise store essentially, and I think Dana can share the link in the chat. So thanks, John.
Shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Good luck, everyone.
Rosalind, congrats! It's cool. You had your comments tonight. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. Dana will reach out to you to get your information, and we'll ship you a StreamYard pillow and of course the plush duck. Thanks so much for watching tonight.
Very exciting.
It looks like Tristan did link the store in the chat. Thanks for that, Tristan. Stefan says, if I win the puddles, she goes right next to my picture of Mandy, the Mandarin duck from Central Park, on my wall. Awesome. Well, I hope you win next time, Stefan.
Cool. Never heard of that. The Mandarin duck.
Yes, I've never heard of it either. But
never been to Central Park, though. Fortunately. One of these days.
Michael says, any clue to the price structure for StreamYard Teams? So it'll be released sometime this summer, Michael. Can't speak to the price of it yet, but we'll have more details as time goes on. Gavino says, any plans to have a mute button on a screen share window? So as far as I know, Gavino, you do have the same, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but I think you have the same mute button that you have with guests on the tiles at the bottom, so you can mute the screen share that way. And if that's what you're thinking, let me know. If you just mean like on the video element itself on screen, I think we have that too, right, Dan? If you click the three.
Yeah.
dots.
So there should be like 3 dots on the video element. If you hover on that, you should be able to mute it. The button will only show up if that tab you're sharing actually has sound. So if you're screen sharing something with sound, so maybe if you're just like testing it out and you're sharing something that doesn't have sound, then you won't see it. But if it has sound, you should see it.
So let us know, Gavino, if that answers the question. If not, please give us some more details. Rosalind says, oh my God, thanks so much. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, by the way. But yeah, absolutely. Congrats.
That giveaway, it's so exciting to win, just the confetti and everything, man. What an experience. Congrats.
Thanks, man. It's been a while. Glad you liked the feature. Linda says, still waiting for my T-shirt. Hey, Linda, hope you're doing well. Check in with if it's been. I don't know when it was sent, but if it's been a while, check in with Dana. Stefan says, Dan, come to NYC and I'll be your personal guide. It would be my pleasure. Live stream right from Central Park. That'd be awesome. Geige can come too, of course. Thanks for the offer, Stefan. We actually have a lot of team members in New York, so
we do. Yeah,
maybe
I've always wanted to visit New York. Have you ever been there?
Only once when I was pretty young. For like,
okay.
It was like cool. It was sort of like just a stop between another place, so I wasn't there for very long. But it was.
And I'm from like a small town in Canada, right? So New York is just the extreme opposite of kind of what I'm used to. So yeah, I've always wanted to check it out.
All right, it looks like we're out of time. This was episode 123 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. We will see you guys next week at the same time. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Awesome. See you next week, everyone.